What was meant to be an ordinary interview turned into an unforgettable moment of raw humanity. Mike Tyson, former heavyweight champion, the baddest man on the planet, sat in a brightly lit American morning show studio to talk about his new memoir and upcoming Netflix documentary. Calm, slightly weary, but alert as ever, he faced the cameras, expecting the usual questions. Then the host leaned in with something unexpected. "Mike, you've seen it all. But this, you didn't." "See coming?" Tyson raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" The host held up a cream-colored envelope with gold lettering. "A letter. It arrived last night. From West Africa, from the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré." The air shifted. The audience quieted. Mike's jaw tensed. He said, "It's for you alone," the host continued. "But he allowed us to read it if you're willing." Mike nodded slowly. "Go ahead." What followed was not just surprising, it was soul-shaking. "Dear Mr. Tyson, my name is Ibrahim Traoré, president of Burkina Faso's transitional government. I don't write to you as a politician, but as a boy who once had nothing. I saw you fight on a flickering TV in a crowded room. You weren't just a boxer. You were proof that pain can be power, that a boy from nowhere could take on giants and win." Mike leaned forward, eyes darkening with emotion. "When my country hurt, I remembered your eyes, not your fists. Eyes filled with fire, pain, and defiance. I try to lead my people with that same fire." Mike looked away. His voice cracked. "Stop. Just stop for a second." But the tears were already coming. He tried to smile, but something broke open. "He saw me," he whispered. "Not the knockouts, not the headlines, just me." He looked down, trembling, unable to stop the tears. "When I was 14, I was homeless, angry. I wanted to die. No one saw me then. No one cared. I fought because that was the only way people noticed I was alive." And then, looking into the camera, "But now, halfway across the world, a man saw my pain and became a president. The most feared fighter in history had become the most human man in the room." After the commercial break, the host asked gently, "Do you want to continue?" Mike nodded. "Yeah, the world needs to hear this. No scripts, no promos, just truth." "Ibrahim Traoré," Mike said, voice thick with emotion. "I never met you, but I know you. I wasn't supposed to survive. I was a thief, locked up before I ever felt love. But this man, he saw strength in my pain." The studio was silent. That same evening, in a modest office in Ouagadougou, President Traoré watched the interview. When Mike cried, so did he. "He really felt it," he whispered in French. Behind him, the wall bore photos, not of dignitaries, but of children, farmers, teachers, soldiers. And among them, a framed photo of a young Mike Tyson, shirtless, fists clenched, eyes ablaze. His assistant entered. "The UN just called. They saw the interview. They want to talk education reform." "Let them wait," Traoré replied. "Tonight the world doesn't need politics. It needs truth." That night Tyson's phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" A calm voice. "Mr. Tyson, this is Ibrahim Traoré." Silence. "You're the man from the letter?" Mike asked, voice trembling. "Yes," Traoré replied, "and you're the man who taught me how to survive when I was a boy with no shoes." They didn't speak like legends. They spoke like survivors. "Will you come to Burkina Faso?" Traoré asked. Mike blinked. "For what?" "Not for a fight, for hope." Mike couldn't sleep that night. He read the letter again and again. One line echoed in his mind. "When I was 13, I fought, not with gloves, but with hunger." The next morning, he stunned his team. "I'm going to Burkina Faso." They stared at him. "Mike, are you sure?" He met their eyes with the same fire from the ring. "It's not about boxing anymore. It's about the boy I was. And the boy he still is. 2 days later, Mike arrived in Ouagadougou. No red carpets, no cameras, just dust, sun, and barefoot children screaming, "Mike Tyson!" At the modest government house, Traoré greeted him, not as a politician, but as a brother. They spoke not of strategy, but of suffering. At a rural school, Mike knelt beside a boy with a swollen eye. "You fight?" Mike asked. The boy nodded. "So did I," Mike whispered, "but the strongest punch is the one you don't throw." He handed the boy his championship ring to hold. The boy's hands trembled. Traoré knelt beside them. "In this country," he said, "you are not your scars. You are your spirit." That night, on a rooftop, the president handed Mike a box of letters from children. One read, "You are a lion who made it through fire. Please don't forget us." Another, "My papa died protecting our village. Now I believe I can be strong like you." Mike clutched the letters like treasure. "These mean more than any belt I've ever won." Then one letter stopped him cold. Torn notebook paper, shaky handwriting. "Dear Mr. Tyson, my name is Mai. I'm 11. My father said your fights gave him courage. He died last year. Now I try to be brave. I saw you cry on TV. That means even lions cry, so maybe I can cry too." Mike's hands trembled. He whispered, "Even lions cry." "Me lives nearby," said Traoré quietly. "Would you like to meet him?" Mike simply nodded. The next morning they drove 2 hours to a dusty village. Me ran out barefoot, clutching a worn photo of his father in uniform. He froze when he saw Mike. "You're braver than I ever was," Mike said. Me blinked. "But I cry." Mike smiled gently. "So do I." Then Me ran into his arms. Not a camera moment, but a soul-deep embrace. Mike held him, and he broke. Loud sobs, tears he'd never cried, pain he'd never shared. Later, under a mango tree, Me asked, "Will you leave too?" Mike looked him in the eye. "I'll be back, I promise," and this time he meant it. Back in New York, Tyson returned for a follow-up interview. The host joked, "Africa, huh? What were you doing? Starting a fight club?" Mike chuckled, then paused. "Actually, I was healed by an 11-year-old boy." He pulled out Me's letter and read aloud, "Even lions cry." And once again, the most feared boxer in the world cried on live TV. A day later, his phone rang. "Traoré, I saw what you did for me," he said. "You didn't just honor his father. You healed something in him and in you." Then Traoré made a request. "Come back, not just for one boy, for a nation. Tell them your story. Show them that rising from nothing is possible." Mike whispered, "You don't know what that means to me." Traoré replied softly, "I do." Within 48 hours, Tyson was on a plane again, this time not as a fighter, but as a messenger. At a rural school, he spoke simply, "I used to think I was just a weapon. I didn't know I had a heart until I listened to a child." The crowd of students wept. He walked into the crowd, pointed at a boy. "You think no one sees you, but I do. You are strong, even when you feel broken." Back under the stars, Mike asked the president, "Why did you write that letter?" Traoré smiled. "Because I saw the boy behind the fighter, and I knew the world still needed him." Mike nodded. "That's all I ever tried to be, someone who got back up." They clasped hands, not as icons, as survivors. The next morning, photos of Tyson hugging kids flooded the internet. But this time, it wasn't about fame, it was about healing. Tyson left Burkina Faso no longer just a fighter, but a father figure, a mentor, a healed soul. Back in Harlem, he stood on a balcony, watching kids spar in an alley. One fell. Mike went down, lifted him up. "Every fall teaches you how to rise." His phone buzzed. A photo, me standing beside a new boxing gym. The sign read, "Tyson Hope Center, sponsored by the government of Burkina Faso. Signed, President Ibrahim Traoré." Mike closed his eyes. The world once called him a monster. Now a child across the ocean saw him as a mentor, and that was enough.